critical period if you are in the like you are studying in class 9 to 12. Okay? So that's a very critical period in our Indian education system, because you know that after completing class 12 we have to secure admission in a good institute. Okay? And that is the most important goal, I think, for all of you. Of course, you have to learn whatever you have to learn from your textbooks and the material and all, and you have to improve your skills. And then one target should be also to keep an eye on these, like how to get admission and what would be your future course, what you will be doing, etc. Okay, so you have to plan very well so that you can make best use of the opportunities available. A lot of awareness is required, like what are the different institutes in different corners of the country, and what are the programs there, what is the timeline, when you have to, when the registration process starts, what are the past year question papers, all this. You know that to study in, for example, in Delhi University colleges, our time it was based on board marks, like our admission in Cotton College in class 11, and then I went to St. Stephen's College in Delhi University, but that time it was mostly based on board marks, and in some colleges there was like an interview. But nowadays you know that you have to take the QA exam. Okay? So that is one thing that you have to keep in mind, and those who are interested in engineering and all, that you know that you have to like do JAM or CEE, all these exams are there. Similarly for the medical aspirants. Okay? And then you have to build a very strong base. Like if you're in class 9 and 10, then your goal should be just not to do well in the school exams, but to build a base. Okay, so that if you have a strong base in your class 9, 10, then it will help you a lot in class 11 and 12, because you know that class 11 and 12, like there is a big jump from class 9 and 10. Okay, there will be a lot of material to be covered, and what you need is your fundamentals should be very strong. So it's not just enough to do well in half-yearly exams or annual exams of class 9 and 10. Your goal should be like a very thorough understanding of the basics. Okay, so that should be the springboard. Okay, from that you can jump higher in class 11 and 12. So it is, and even those in class 11 and 12, because you should have a very good grasp of NCERT textbooks. And then next level you improve your problem solving skills. And then of course time management is very important throughout the years as well as during the exams also. Okay, so the time management skills. So a lot of, I think, other skills also matter apart from talent. Okay, like how motivated you are, okay, how you take challenges, or how you are like adapting your teaching methodology or learning methodology. I would say learning methodology. Okay, that you have to keep improving yourself in all aspects. Okay, so keep doing that. So it's all about improvement. So anyway, so those are the things that I wanted to say, and then it's more because this session is intended more as an interactive session. Okay, so whatever doubts or whatever views that you want to share, you can share with me, and I'll also try to do the same. Like whatever my opinions are or whatever views I have, so I'd like to share with you. Okay.
Priyanko.
It was mentioned that you pursued a bit of your education abroad. I would like to ask you what made you to pursue education abroad and what was your experience?
Okay, fine. Yeah, so like because as we grew up, we knew about a few universities in the world, and certainly Oxford and Cambridge and Harvard. Those were the names which were very familiar. Okay. Of course, when I was a school student, I did not think as such that I will be able to go there. But certainly, like I was fascinated by the history of those universities and their fame and their glory. So certainly it was there. But in my school days, basically I liked the subject very much because I liked mathematics very much. So I was sure that I will pursue mathematics. Okay. So I was not interested in engineering or medical. So that part was sure. Then after coming to that time it was a natural destination. After our days were very simpler, I would say, because nowadays we have too many choices. So lot more clarity is required. But of course, you need to know your favorite subject, and I had that clarity. And after that, I knew that after class 10, I will go to Cotton College, because it's a very reputed college. So I came to Cotton College, and then after coming to Cotton College, my next goal was to pursue BSc Mathematics. So I thought that I will do in Cotton, but if I get admission in some colleges in Delhi, I will do that. So I was lucky to get admission at St. Stephen's College based on physics, chemistry, and maths marks. So I went there, and then when I went there, my friends and my teachers suggested that I should try to go to Cambridge or Oxford. Okay. So if they had not told me, I would not have thought about it. Probably I would not have tried, but because of my seniors and my friends who helped me in the application process. So and of course I knew about the prestige of those universities. And of course, it was impossible for me to go without scholarship, but I got the scholarship based on my university exam performance, and there's an interview and letters of recommendation. Those of you who want to study abroad, you know that these are the three things that are required: that letters of recommendation from your teachers, then your academic record, and also you have to fill your form very carefully, stating why you want to go there, etc. Okay, so those things are needed, and sometimes interview. Okay, so anyway, based on that, I went to Cambridge, and initially, of course, it was very difficult because I grew up in a small town. I'm from Golaghat, and I studied in Assamese medium, so my English, of course, we knew grammar very well actually, but the emphasis was on written English, not on spoken English. So I had a lot of hesitation, even in Delhi actually, but in Delhi at least one could get by in Hindi. But when I went to Cambridge, but actually it was just a perception. I assumed that my English was very weak, but actually later on I gradually realized that anyway, it's a foreign language, it's not that we have to know, because not knowing our own language, there is nothing more shaming there, but if we don't know English that well, that's not a big factor. But anyway, initially I really suffered a little bit. Also, there was a big cultural difference at that time, because we did not have satellite TV or mobile phone or internet, so their way of life was completely different from us, and their courses were very challenging, like the pace was very fast. Okay, so but I was in Delhi University, it was very comfortably one could study. Okay, just for 2 months people used to work that time, and rest of the year students did not used to study that time. So there's a big difference. That my classmates in Cambridge, they were very much motivated, and the teachers were really some of them were field medalists. You know that in maths there is no Nobel Prize, but the highest award is field medal, and in some sense field medal is more difficult because it is awarded in every 4 years. Nobel Prize is every year, okay? And one has to be under 40, so one has to make a big discovery before 40. So, but there were several teachers who were field medalists that we came across there, and they were Nobel laureates. And they were I was at Trinity College. Trinity College has a very rich history. Like Newton was there, Rutherford, all these people were there, or even Byron, Tennyson. Well, it's a very rich history. Like Barton Russell, or even Ramanujan, or Professor Hardy. So it is a very rich history, and actually it was very inspiring and also intimidating in the beginning. Okay, but gradually I got used to it, and then I think that's. It was a big. It had a big impact. I'm not really I don't think I definitely prefer normal school where you develop your social skills and all these things. But at the same time, it is true that there is a scarcity of seats. There's a tough competition. In India, population is huge. Okay, unless you are in the top 10%, there's always things are much tougher. And whatever sample size you take, there will be always a top 10% and there will be 90%. Okay, and that's more difficult for 90%. Abroad, the good thing is that the competition is not so tough. Population is not that high. Okay, so even those who are in the middle of the class or even at the bottom of the class, at least they'll also have a good life. I would say that they will earn enough. Okay, so it's like that. So I think that's the one advantage. But here in India, and because of that, people want admission in those premier institutes. Okay, and but what is unfortunately happening is that you focus too much on getting admission in these institutes, so you learn with a very narrow perspective. Okay, so that you have people have become very goal oriented, that you have to study those subjects which will be like they are in the entrance examination, and then so that way I think learning is getting compromised. But I think it is all because of insecurity that we are in this trap now. We are in a trap that we have to get seats in these institutes. Okay, I mean we try to. Okay, because see in US our US population is much less than ours, but they will have say 300 very good universities. Okay, but in India probably the number will be like say maybe 100 good institutes, but the population is much higher. Okay. So there is this race is there, and this race is actually leading to these coaching institutes, and which are basically now it's not just class 11 and 12. Some people join in class 9 and 10 or even earlier. Okay, so I really feel that, and by the time they come to IIT, some of them are quite burnt out. Like they think that their job is done. Okay, that they have now got a seat in IIT. So many of them do not have more motivation to do well in academically. So we find that only maybe 5 to 10% students who come to IIT remain motivated for higher studies or remain motivated to study, forget higher studies. Okay. And nowadays it is becoming like a stamp, I think, or it's like a label that okay, that IIT, so IIT stamp is there in the certificate, which helps them to get a good job initially at least. But nowadays companies are also very smart, so they know how to get work out of students. So, but I think creativity of the students is getting affected because when you have time pressure, even the competition is so tough that you just have to focus on the 4 choices that you have to choose from. Okay, so I think it is affecting our students in general, that from class 8 onwards or even class 7 onwards, you are just in a race and you are just focusing on some entrance exams. Okay, so I think it is affecting the natural growth or social skills. So we see a lot of in IITs also you'll see that sometimes someone there are a lot of mental health issues are there. Even some people even go to the extent of committing suicides, or even those who are preparing for these entrance exams, they commit suicide. Okay, so all those things are, a lot of pressure is there. So I definitely prefer normal school. Okay, because there are a lot of I think healthy things there. I think for holistic development, definitely normal schools I prefer. Okay, but yeah, because see, parents also, as parents, what happens, we feel very insecure about our children. Our teachers also feel insecure, or students themselves feel insecure. So probably the coaching centers give a false sense of security. Okay, because see, if 1,000 students join a coaching institute, it can guarantee admission for maybe 20 or 30. Okay, but what is happening is those 20 or 30 will be projected to get more and more students. So I am a bit cynical about that. Okay, for example, medical and education, when it becomes too commercial, then it's I feel a bit uneasy about that. Okay, it's unfortunate, but it's happening, and I don't think it can be reversed. But certainly, holistic development is certainly far from it. Okay, it is very goal-oriented program. Okay, so.
So,
Those are yes.
good afternoon, sir. Myself, PGT English of PMC Beguistan. A common question for all the students of our school. Your subject is mathematics, and for most of our students, it is a very hard subject. Though they took mathematics in class 11 also, but when they pursue or when they appear, why they feel fear of that as a teacher, we didn't understand. They do understand in the class, they do, but whenever they appear in the exam, somebody get nervous, somebody can't do the things properly, and always we have a fear. যেতিয়াই আমাৰ বোৰ্ডৰ পৰীক্ষা হয় আমাৰ এটা ভয় থাকে যে ম্যাথছত কিবা ঠিকে কৰি আহিবনে এটা হেৰি থাকিবনে এই ফিয়াৰটো ইহঁতৰ কেনেকৈ যাব কেনেকৈ নাইকিয়া
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a very valid question that I think students develop this mentality maybe from early school days, and maybe it comes from society. I mean, this conditioning, social conditioning, or maybe words from parents or teachers or their seniors. Okay, because sometimes what we hear we assume. Okay, so certainly many things that we hear, often we just consciously do not think about it, and like we just assume those things, and then once you start assuming, it comes into our belief system, and then we start believing or assuming unknowingly that, okay, like for example, mathematics is a tough subject. So, because I think it starts with that assumption, because, and in mathematics, I think things are like layer by layer. So if you're like if you have done well in class 3 or you have understood very well, then it will help in your class 4. But if you had some did not learn properly in class 3, then it will affect your learning in class 4. Okay, I mean, without learning also one can get marks though, particularly in lower classes one can get marks, and since our school education like focuses more on a good mark sheet than proper learning, so what happens, there might be gaps in understanding of mathematics, but it is not getting detected by your yearly exam or annual exam. So people are just getting by, but in mathematics, I think you cannot leave any gaps in your understanding. Okay, just like it's like a very, because school education is very foundational. Just like suppose a tall building, if your foundation is not good, then whatever you do at the top, it'll always be shaky. Okay. So similarly, if your mathematics education is not very solid, or if your understanding had some gap, that gap will affect you later. So I think, so it has to be learned or taught in a long-term perspective. That class 4 mathematics or class 5 mathematics is not just for class 5. Actually, it is the foundation for class 6, 7 or class 10. Okay, that perspective students have to take. But if they compromise, suppose they do not understand, and they just know that, okay, this is the way I have to write it in the exam. So because see, our learning is becoming like how we write questions in exams. It's like actually exam preparation. I would say that our learning process has been reduced to preparing answers for the exam. Okay, so that way our thoughts do not develop. So what happens, like to do maths, you have to, like it's basically mostly it is logic. Okay, so one has to develop that thought process. Okay, and that thought process can be developed by doing problems. These problems might be simple problems, but one has to do on one's own. But suppose you ask the solution from someone else, from the book, from the solved examples, or from the teacher, and after that, what is happening that most students just make replica of that, because one problem will have some new idea, but after that it will be just repetition. Same idea is repeated in the subsequent questions. So that way, the thought process is not developing, I feel. So, and once these thought processes do not develop, then there will be always problem. So then people will be able to do what they have done before, but they will not be able to do some new question. In the exam hall, they will not be able to think. Okay, maybe for chemistry, maybe what happens, like you remember it, then probably, of course, learning will help. If you understand chemistry also, it will help a lot. But I'm saying that in mathematics, probably that you have to think a bit more, even in the exam hall. Okay, and then people are, since they have not the practice of doing that, so probably they are not not able to do it in exam hall. Because, I mean, if some new questions are there. And also this, I think mentality is also there. If we assume that something is difficult, then it becomes really hard actually. Like what we keep saying to ourselves that is important, what we are telling ourselves. If, for example, I kept telling myself that speaking English was very tough. For me, that was the mental barrier. Okay? And until I overcame that, so it was like, for me, that was a tough thing. That I did not have that for maths, okay, but I had that for English speaking, okay. And actually, that held me back. That made it tougher, because that made me very conscious that I might make a mistake in speaking English. Okay, so for me, that was so. Every one of us has that kind of barrier. Someone might think that public speaking, someone might have some fear about that. Okay, so we have to overcome that. Okay, so there are a lot of issues. I think part of it is like mentality that we build. Okay, what we tell ourselves. If we keep telling ourselves that we are weak in mathematics, we are weak in mathematics, or mathematics will trouble me, so it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, so that we have to be conscious that what we are telling ourselves. Okay, if we are telling bad things about ourselves, then that will certainly affect our confidence. So, but this confidence can be built by, I think, giving more time, understanding concepts more thoroughly, and improving problem-solving skills by struggling with problems. Because without struggling with problems, I don't think math skills can be really developed. Okay. Otherwise, we can just repeat what our teachers have shown us to do. Okay. So, but repetitions are not sufficient. Okay. So, I feel that to have that confidence, I think more problems should be tried. Okay. From NCERT textbooks to start with, then you go to R.D. Sharma, then you go to like other books. Okay. Because they're like level of problems, the NCERT level problems first. Okay. And in R.D. Sharma book, I think you have like level 1, level 2, level 3 problems. Okay. But you try to do the problems. All the solutions are there in the book. But if you look at the solution, your thought process will not develop. So I think like early school days, you have the time to do all that. Class 11 and 12, you hardly have time actually. It is unfortunate that in class 11 and 12, the pace is very fast. A lot of material, yeah, they don't have time for all that. But class 9 and 10, try to develop your skills. And if you have a good command over mathematics, it will help you in physics, because physics is mostly mathematical. And physical chemistry also. Okay, so if you have like you give some time to maths, it will help you, it will be very rewarding, I would say, in your 11, 12, when you are in class 11 and 12, because your physics is basically mostly mathematics. Okay, or even physical chemistry is mostly mathematics. Okay, so that way already you cover a lot. Okay, and since mathematics is a training in logical thinking, that will probably help you in like even inorganic or organic also. But of course in chemistry a lot of exceptions are there. Okay, so only thing I find myself problematic in chemistry is that there are a lot of exceptions. Every rule has some exceptions. So, and there will be exceptions to exceptions also. So I find it.
So, sir, what can be the right age to for a child to get into all these means for preparation for IIT and other things? What can be the right age? Means,
Yeah, no, it's again. So I also don't know. I have my views only, but I don't think. I think one must think about it. More people should think about it. And those who have qualified recently, they are the best persons to say about all these things. But I do feel that one must have very strong understanding in early school. Okay, but yeah, so yeah, like lot of people join this game very early. Okay, and some of them succeed. But if someone does not succeed, then I think it is tough, because your education is compromised. Okay, and you just prepared, like you gave all these years for cracking some entrance examination, and if it does not happen, then I think then that can be, I think, not a good thing to, not a good situation. Okay, so it's a, and we know that the ratio, I mean, like 15 lakhs students are there, and seats are maybe like 1 lakh or something, or 50,000. I mean, maybe let's say 1 lakh, including all these NITs. Okay, so you can see the ratio. I mean, okay, so in that ratio, I think some people will benefit, but many will suffer. Okay. So, but I feel that strong foundation is needed. Okay, that someone has learned properly, maybe someone in advance, like say, like very well, someone is advanced, already learned the NCERT material, and I think that's the time to go for like all this preparation of like entrance questions. Okay, you try to do as many entrance questions as possible. But if your, I think, core learning is not complete, I think then it's risky. I think. Okay. That's my feeling. Okay. Trying to do a problem in mathematics, then you have to see that what are the concepts behind it. Okay, so what are the, for example, since you're a school student, so you might think that, okay, from which chapter or what are the concepts. Okay, suppose you are doing a problem in let's say, okay, so what shall I say, maybe it's like solving some equation or some differential equation, suppose you are solving. Okay, which class are you from? Sorry? 11. Okay, so differential equation probably have not come. Anyway, it will come soon. So suppose you are solving a differential equation. Then what are the things that you need to know? You need to know about derivatives, and you have to know about integrals and all these things. So you have to see that what it is fitting. And anyway, good thing about, unlike Olympiad problems, okay, but it is school problems, but you know, okay, differential equation, there are only 3 or 4 types. Like say it is some separable equation, or some linear differential equation, or homogeneous equation, or exact equation, or something. So you'll just have to see, you can see that, because you can link it. You have to make connections. Okay, so you have to see that, okay, this is actually this. Okay, this pattern recognition is required. Okay, that for doing, I would say that usual, I mean regular problems. Okay, I'm not talking about Olympiad problems, but certainly these problems, you try to relate it to this, and then you just have to be good with the basics. Okay, how to integrate, how to differentiate, all these things. So those are the basic skills that will always help you. And suppose while learning calculus, suppose you did not learn integration that well, you knew about derivatives, but you did not learn about integration, then that will not, then he'll suffer in doing a differential equation. Okay, because you need to know not only differentiation, you need to know chain rule and all these trigonometric functions also, because trigonometry substitution will also help. So that way all things will come together, and that's why you need to practice all this. Then that will come, you'll have to link it. Okay, you have to recognize, and it comes from practice, because practice matters a lot in mathematics. Okay, so you have to know that this is the general strategy in differential equation. Okay, so you have to, so once you do enough problems, then your strategy should develop. Okay, then every problem will not be a fresh problem. Actually, it will be like that. Okay, so these are the things that is required. The chain rule is required. The trigonometric substitution is required. Okay, integration is required. So you have to do that. So that way, I think, so linking it with things that you know. Okay, so I think that connection, making connection is important. Okay, and practice is very important. In Amazon, you know, like which books to buy, or they will recommend. So a lot of things can be learned on their own, on one's own. But I think if you go to a good university, then you get a very good peer group, because you can learn a lot from your classmates, your seniors, and your teachers. And the atmosphere also matters. Okay, so I think that friend circle also, like you meet more quality people, I would say. I mean, you can gain. There's a scope to learn more from your friends and seniors, I think. So that's a very, for example, like, because for me going to Cambridge seemed doable because I went to Stephens. But if I had not gone to Stephens or some good college, then probably it would not have come to my mind. How did it come to my mind? Because my friends told me, or I saw some seniors going to Cambridge. So that way you have some role models. Okay, because see, if some classmate or some senior has done it, then you feel motivated that you can also do it. Like someone from a school does well, that's very good for the juniors, because you know that, okay, he was also in the same school and he did well, so you believe that you can also do well. So that way I think it has a good, big effect. And of course there are certain other advantages, like there'll be like nowadays there's like alumni network. Okay, that those students who have passed out, okay, they like they have some liking for the institute, so they always try to help the juniors. So particularly at a college like Stephens, okay, it matters a lot, or even in Cambridge or Harvard, you just see that this alumni network is very strong. Probably it should not be so strong in a way, because in a way, then it's a bit unfair to others, okay? But it certainly, that network helps. For example, studying in Con College, in Delhi, we felt very comfortable because in every college we had friends, okay? Many students who went to like studied in some big cities, they did not have that advantage. But going to Cotton College, we had friends in all disciplines in all colleges in Delhi, and it was like, okay. Or even in England, the Cotton connection was there, okay. Similarly, Trinity connection will be there, there will be Cambridge connection will be there, okay. Or my Goff School connection is also there. So where you study, certainly it's like a association, lifetime association, okay. So I think that way also it helps. And then the environment that you get, okay, that also matters a lot, okay. Because for example, when I was at Stephen, certainly like it was very stimulating, okay, a lot of discussions, or I've been at Cotton College, okay. So I think all those things matter, okay. And unknowingly some things matter actually, okay. Then looking back, you'll realize that, oh, you have benefited this much from this, okay. So of course it will help, the stamp helps in getting a job, but I think that's a very limited perspective, although it's a necessity, and particularly in Indian society, okay, because our population is huge and our job scope is somewhat limited, so certainly those things also matter. But even beyond job, I think like friendship that you develop, okay, or your overall like your like horizon opens up, I would say, that if you go to a good institute.
Opinions and experiences to someone who was looking forward for research in Indian education?
Okay. Yeah, so very good question. So, yeah, so I would say that you should first have interest in this. You should identify which subjects motivates you most. Okay, I think, and if it is very clear, then that is very good, because already then making choices become easier, because now there are so many institutes, so many programs. Okay, so and so many subjects. Okay, so knowing what subjects you like most, and secondly, whether you also have some ability for that also you should check, okay. Then once you have clarity about those things, then you can probably go ahead, because if you need interest, then things become much easier, okay. Because if you enjoy the learning, if you enjoy the process, okay, then doing things is much easier, okay. But it's much, it's not like when you are like not pursuing the subject you like, that means you are struggling with yourself, okay. Yourself, you don't want to study, but you're still doing it. So it's like becomes a burden, or it's like you are in conflict. You are not in harmony with yourself. But suppose I like maths and I'm doing that, so I'm enjoying it. So it's not a burden. Okay. Similarly, whatever subject you have, I think you should try to identify, and you should keep asking yourself, is this the right subject for me? Okay. Then once you get the same answer, like keep asking yourself every week or every month, and then every time you're getting similar kind of answer, then you know that, okay, maybe this is the subject I should go for. Okay, then try to develop your skills more. You maybe give more time to that subject. Okay, then you have to, of course, be very aware, because a lot of opportunities, scholarships, those things are there, but you have to be aware that what are the opportunities. Then you have to talk to your seniors, other people. You have to go for workshops and all that. Okay, so yeah, and with internet, a lot of information is available. Okay. Well, in class 11 or 12, then they overcame. Okay, so I think everything is possible, but you have to approach it with the right attitude, and you have to be very practical also, that you want to achieve this target. So after 1 year, if you want to achieve this target, then every week you have to progress this much. That kind of assessment should be there. So I think we have to keep trying basically. Sometimes it may take longer, okay, but yeah, so yeah, if you work long enough, that destination will be reached, certainly, okay. But you have to be prepared to work long enough, okay, because people give up, okay, because it's not easy to keep doing if success is not achieved quickly, I think. Okay, so it depends on the personality, but some people, like, they keep trying and eventually they succeed. Okay, so there will be many quotes, because okay, so that's one thing that I want to tell you, that you should look at quotations by big people. I mean, all very many inspiring quotes are there. Okay, that how people deal with adversity and all these things. Okay, so that really tells in one line a lot of things you can learn. Okay, like Edison's quotes are there, like what is success, like after like failing 1,000 times, what comes is like that kind of thing. And there are many quotes. Okay, so you should read those. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think it's a time for you to also go for lunch, and so it was nice interacting with you. So I wish you all the best, and yeah.